second reader of the night, Dr. J. Bruce Fuller, is a Louisiana native, poet, editor, redneck, man of the people. His works include Notes to a Husband, Lancelot, 28 Blackbirds at the End of the World, and Flood, which is the winner of the 2013 Swanside Prize. His newest book is Dissenters Ground, will be released in February. His poems have appeared in Crab Orchard Review, Birmingham Poetry Review, Harbor Palette, Pembroke Magazine, Yankee Pot Roast, the Dead Mule School of Southern Literature, among others. He has twice been nominated for Best of the Net. He once got Poet Laureate Ava Heyman drunk on Southern Comfort. He once kissed poet John Wood directly on the mouth. He once found LeVar Burton's phone number on Twitter and called to tell him how much he loved reading Rainbow. Please follow him on Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. J. Bruce.
All that's true. LeVar Burton was not as nice as I thought it would be. Thank you for being here. This is pretty overwhelming. Thanks for coming out. Especially to my students who are scattered around here. I should say that I did not bribe them with bonus points. They're here just out of curiosity and to see if I'm full of shit or not. We're about to find out. So I thought I'd start with a poem from my newest project that I've been working on. This poem's called Boy, Age 9. This is what I learned of dismemberment. Hunting squirrels with my father, I learned to track them to the trees, to walk beneath their rustle and chase. When the squirrels noticed us, they froze and lay flat against the mottled bark. It was my job to walk noticeably across the straw-covered ground and move them around to expose the squirrels' splayed backs to him. The scatter shot would hardly ever kill them, but drop them like a top to the wooded floor. I learned to grab them by the tail and flail them fast against the trunk. I learned to listen for the moment of death, that hollow crack of skull on tree like acorns falling on a tin roof early winter. So I like to start things off with a bang. That's from my friend Keegan, who said, "It ain't a J. Bruce Fuller reading if there's not any dead animals in it." Animals behold. These next two are from a series of ekphrastic poems. I was talking with my students this morning about ekphrastic poetry, so I thought I'd be a good example and read a couple from a series that I've been writing about Caravaggio paintings. This first one is called The Incredulity of St. Thomas, which of course is a painting about the doubting Thomas disbelieving Jesus had risen from the grave, but really it's about my dad.
Spoiler alert!
Like all poems. Starts with a quote from Robert Hayden's wonderful poem, Those Winter Sundays. Sundays too, my father got up early. I thought he had a heart attack, but watched him crawl into bed to sleep it off. The next morning he slept in, and I knew then for the first time that my father would forsake me and die. This was his final lesson. I can wait. It's fine. Thank you. Where was it? Final lesson. That a body, once feared, could be broken. 30 years of labor was too short a time to do such damage, and my hands were unburdened and guilty, and this was the gift that he left to me. He rose after noon and tried to dress. I put my father back to bed and touched my finger to his ribs to make sure he was still there. My dad's kind of like that. One time when I was a kid, he was mowing the yard and got bit by a rattlesnake and decided not to go to the hospital. He just went to bed for 3 days. And some bitch didn't die. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. He's just like that. This next poem is called St. John the Baptist, and Caravaggio did many paintings of St. John. This one is one of him as a young man, and he's holding a lamb. And that reminded me of a job that I had one summer that was not very fun at all. So St. John the Baptist. Shirtless and sweating in the summer, I inoculate sheep. They will not still as I straddle and hold them with my knees, aim the needle at their jugular veins. Too deep, and the needle will pierce them clean through. Are these the lambs you shepherded through the wilderness to wash and give that final protection, their blood so precious as to require a vaccine of pure spirit? I wash the woolen filth from my arms and chest, bend down and place my neck beneath the barn faucet, bend down humbly. Thank you, Claire. Don't let them fool you. Sheep are assholes. They're not fluffy. They're not as fluffy as you think they're gonna be. They bite, and they don't want you around, and they stink like hell. And it was a terrible job.
You've moved up a little.
From what?
From sheep.
To college students?
Apparently my illusion.
Well, they don't really want to be there either, in my experience.
They smell better. Some of them smell better.
Except for the 9 or so that are in here, you guys rule. I thought I'd read a little bit from my most recent book that's available for sale, just conveniently, right over here by the door. See the lady in the owl hat. This book's called Flood, and water is often the main element in my poems for seemingly obvious reasons. This book split in 2 parts, and the first part's about the 1927 Mississippi River flood, which prior to Hurricane Katrina was the greatest natural disaster in American history. So we got them both, because the second half of the book is about Katrina. I think I'll read one from both, maybe. This first one's called The Men on the Levee. Of the men on the levee, I will say this. They were brave and terrible, their eyes wild as the river. I will also say that such men of power and wild eyes like the river cannot sleep easy in its shadow. Such men of power fear what the water will take, will not sleep easy in its shadow, knowing what stands before its swell. Fearing what the river will take, the poor men of the basin knew what stood before the water's swell and raised their hands to the sky. The poor men of the delta went to fight the river as well, raising their hands to the sky, singing, "What water will come, will come." They went to fight the river, those brave and terrible men singing, "What water will come, will come. What water will come, will come."
Yeah.
That's very nice. Thank you. Actually, I should have brought a table or something. Maybe I should just stand up. I too got a broadside for tonight, and I'm very excited about it. That's what it looks like. See, I took the effort to bring it up here to show y'all, and that didn't go as smooth as I thought it would. But I'm very appreciative for Jesse and Sarah Beth making these for me and for everybody. They're beautiful, and please do give them your money because they worked very hard on this reading series. I'm glad to be back. Yeah, go ahead and just go ahead and do that. Give them a little something. This is an unfunded reading series. You should buy these broadsides, man. They're really good. So this is the poem from my broadside. It's called CNN. We watched our neighborhood go under on CNN like everyone else. On Monday afternoon, as soon as the winds blew her north, helicopters followed the storm. Away from the swollen canals and broken pines, we waited for the first scenes to arrive. Cul-de-sac archipelagos, street signs, and people floating, clinging, mostly alive in the baptismal water. The levee said no more. It was all there on the screen. My wife knew the landmarks, unpacked our bags on the floor, the few things that were left of our old life. We watched the water from our hotel room, debris and floating dead and algal bloom. So, it's a cheerful book, really it is. And tonight only a steal at $10. You too could be depressed in the comfort of your own home. I gotta tell you, it doesn't really get better from here, just to be honest. There's like a shitload of people out there enjoying the show comfortably. This next poem is for one of them. This is for my dear friend, Dr. Katie Cotterman, who really can't be bothered to come inside, but...
She needs poetry for. She's a rhetorician.
She actually requested this poem. Oh, look, here she comes. Wait a minute. See, I've called her out now. Now, give him a bow there, darling. There she is. You don't have to know Katie very long to know that she's got a heart of stone, seemingly. But this poem she requested because it makes her cry, and I hope that you see that.
You won't.
So it's unlikely, I gotta admit. This poem is an elegy for a family friend of mine who had an accident while cleaning out his deer stand. I don't know if any of you guys are hunters, but he fell out of it, and that's about 12, 15 feet, and was paralyzed, and about 4 months later, died from his injuries. It starts with a quote from the wonderful book by Jim Harrison and Ted Kuzer. I was paralyzed from the waist up for 3 months. My feet walked me. All the birds turned brown. I fell out of a tree I hadn't climbed. So this is the deer stand. 1. The lower door is shut. It hides the bloated, decaying hips, the atrophied legs, the lower, disproportionate half. I see faces and faces and faces. They come in and stare down at my powdered face, my slack lips. There is darkness around, and they see it too. It is in their faces, in their stress socks, and in my suit. No one can see my spine. If God in heaven set it aligned and told me to walk, I doubt I'd remember how. 2. I landed on my knees like a God-fearing man. My back went limp and I crumpled face first in a bed of red ants. Turning my head to the sky, I blinked the stingers out of my eyes. I saw the deer stand's ladder going up, up, up. I called for you then. I couldn't see through the burning, knees planted and bent like stalks in the summer heat. 3. There is not so much to tell. I lived, I was broken. I lived some more, I died. From the sky to the earth and and back again? Does it make a difference that I hunted and ate and killed, was eaten and lived? We are ants on the face of God, scratching, grasping, asking for more, for more. Good time show. So yeah, I've got several books over there. If you'd like to check them out, these next two aren't in them. So if you like these, then don't get up. They're new. This first one, we're gonna, if you don't mind, we're gonna go back to me and my dad. My dad, who has never read a poem that I've written. See the story about the snake bite. He's not really much of a book learning kind of guy, but this poem is about my parents' relationship, which was, well, how does one produce a poet? This poem references the biblical story of Ruth, so if you know that, it might make it better for you. It's called Ruth's Answer. Papa told me about Ruth and how she turned to the fields despite the danger of earth and blade and found comfort among the chaff of the threshing floor. As a boy, I feared the fields full of snakes and vermin, the heat rising up to heaven across a horizon so long I felt my own small place in the world. I asked my mother why she followed him here. Was it love or duty to lie at his feet in ritual across the long nights of a hard life? There was no answer. This next one is a bit of a strange term for me. Also has fields in it. I don't know why. I'm in a zone, I think. But strangely, this one is an actual love poem, not just a my parents didn't love each other poem. So, are we recording this? We can't put this on YouTube. Like, they're gonna see it. Oh, I was gonna see this. She'll have me in 2 languages for this. This is called The Field. Beside you in the night, 1,000 stars remind that time is infinite, but we are not. To the sun, a solemn plea, forget your duty, let the morning be ours. As Joshua stopped the sun, let it be so in the field of our bed. Beyond, far across that clockwork mechanism, hours dwindle into seconds, night, eternity. You rise to go. The shape of your back, a scythe blade that cuts the room in 2. I know that once pain blooms, it blights the harvest. A field is neither nourished by stars nor night, but we continue as we must to sow these heavy hearts, these fields we know best. So that's the new stuff. Should I keep going or hang it up? It's about this time of year when papers come due that shrimping starts looking real good as a career choice. Just a man in the sea. All the shrimp you can eat.
Yeah, buddy, better than great.
Exclusion devices.
All the shrimp you can eat. Clay knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll finish with this last one. And as Jesse mentioned, it's from my newest work that's coming out in February. Although when they say February, they mean May. So hopefully sometime this semester, I'll have a new book out. It's called The Dissenter's Ground, and I'll read some of it here. It's a long poem. I don't really know how to describe it except that it's a long letter to William Blake, who, why a Creole Louisianian would be writing to William Blake. I really can't answer that question. But what it really is, I think, is my love letter to Louisiana.
To your dad.
Yeah, he's in here too, dude. I don't know what to tell you. I gotta get some help. This is from the Dissenters' Crown. And again, thanks. Y'all really know how to make a gal feel pretty. William, would I ask you this if you were here? Would you answer, or would the angels fall silent and fail to speak, their words muffled and lost through time and ether and unconsecrated earth? It's just that I have no one else to turn to. Here is what I know now. When the sun sets on Rutherford Beach, and the wind off the Gulf lifts brown water over shelled sands, the oil rigs on the horizon do not remind me of God. They say that in 50 years, the sea level will rise all the way to Natchez, and this soupy ground will be seabed again. William, this is the prophecy of my age.
That's bullshit.
We live on borrowed land, delta mud laid thick by flood after flood, the warbling, shifting muck of home. It shapes you, this instability, this accretion of silt and image. This is our homily as the waters rise around us, that we revel in the uncertainty of the seasons, that we praise this tradition of inevitable transience. We will take drowning too far. Your reason is sleeping, William, and what has formed in that darkness is this: oil, that prophecy of your industrial revolution come to shackle us. As a child, I thought the rigs were gods, and the men who went to work them had gone on to heaven. The God of the flood still lives here. You can see his practiced hand among the dead cypress stalks that dot the living water. Papa explained to me how water overcomes land, how one turn of the river can make a field or forest into a museum of skeleton trees. But when I asked why, he said nothing. He said, around here, we don't pray for rain. I too am a born dissenter. There is deep belief that lives in the water and the fields, and a way of life that has endured for generations, forged in heat and work and the fear of a vengeful God. Where is that belief in my own heart? When I look my father in the face, I am ashamed. In the catacombs of St. Paul's, I found your marbled face, William, but the stone was silent, your prophecy blunted. Your bronze bust in the poet's corner spoke no answers. But these are not the trappings of a living prophet. I imagined you then, receiving visions, naked in your garden at Felbam. I have asked my questions to the void, to the gods, to the earth, to the muses, to a man buried quietly in the Dissenters' Ground, Bunhill Fields, London. Farther and farther this echo doubts, and I am Adam in the garden, palms open. The cutworm forgives the plow, no more. Merci beaucoup.